welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Brendan, who is with the Estuary Transit District. Sir,
That's
welcome.
right.
How are you?
Doing very well yourself, Pete. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, thanks for coming down.
Of course.
You're a new face with Estuary
Yes,
Transit.
I am.
And you're a new face with the Pete Mezzetti Show. So welcome.
That's right. New face all around. Yeah.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Brendan. I recently graduated UMass Amherst
Right.
on regional planning, and this is my first gig out of school. So I'm coming right down here to follow the Kennebec River down from Amherst down to Middletown, and here I am. So
There you go.
ready to talk all things transit.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So what exactly do you do for Estuary
Absolutely.
Transit?
So my official term is a transit planner.
Okay.
What that means is there's a lot of different things, a big umbrella, but what I like to primarily do is look at changing the stops, changing the routes to make sure it's a more efficient system. So I do that through community feedback, through looking at census data, demographic data to see where the routes should go, where stops should go. But this can also range from things like putting in new bus shelters, talking with the community about increasing frequency. So it's basically all-encompassing the changes for a transit system.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously, what's some of the feedback that you've been getting from the public?
Sure. Well, I mean, recently we did a big fare changes to our system. So we added a low-income discount. We added a system called fare capping, where people don't have to pay more than a certain amount a month for ridership. So affordability is a pretty big issue for us, and so we went out to the public and got their feedback on these proposed changes, and they were overall pretty positive. And so happy to say we went to every single town in the Middlesex County to get feedback, and we heard from everybody, and people were overall very positive of it. And most people want to help people who are on their hard luck. So
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I'm sure, especially now, because with the transit, it's still free.
It's still
There's
free,
still-
exactly.
And I'm
It's
sure
still
that's
free.
helping. That's helping ridership.
It really is, yeah. And I can say, I'll give you a little anecdote, because first of all, it's free till March 30th. So for everybody,
That's right.
so March 30th, it'll be free. After that, we don't know.
Exactly.
So we're hopeful it'll continue to be fare free, because there have been a lot of benefits we've seen. Some drawbacks too, but I'll start with the ridership, the pure number. So let's go back in time. To March 2022, right? So that was the last month we had a fare for the entire system.
Correct.
For Middletown alone, just the Middletown routes, the fixed routes in Middletown, we did about 15,500 ridership that month, right?
Okay.
A few months later in August, we did 28,000. So we almost double in a couple months our ridership. That's a pretty big jump. Now, it's not all because of fare free, but a big portion of it was. At the time, there was really high gas prices and other things going on, but we definitely think it was fuel to the fire. Our numbers were already recovering, but it just jump-started them even more. So a free ride's a good ride. So and I'm happy to see. It was great to see people come back on transit in big numbers coming out of COVID, because we were afraid, it would be really slow adoption after COVID to get back on, but people came back on.
Absolutely.
So it was good. Good to see.
Absolutely. Now, what is the difference between the Middletown route and, I guess, the shoreline route, or the routes that you see here? Obviously, the buses look different.
They look different. Yep.
I was actually in Middletown right after Christmas. We were coming home from New Hampshire and got off in Cromwell to get gas, and I saw the blue Middletown area bus go by. I saw the bus. My dad was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's the Middletown area bus." He's like, so I was telling him about it. I'm like, they're a parent company. They're a subsidiary of Ninetown Transit. He's like, He's like, okay.
Yes.
He's like, I've never seen a blue bus. He's like, usually when we're down this way, they're green.
Absolutely.
I'm like, up north they're blue, down here they're green. He's like, got it.
Yep, and that's a new thing as well, because being connected, because for the longest time he was right, because there were two separate systems.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, Middletown Area Transit and Ninetown Transit were two separate transit districts.
Yeah.
And as of July 1st this year, we've recently merged. So Middletown merged with Ninetown.
Okay.
So now we're one service provider for the entire Middlesex County.
Gotcha.
But to most riders, it looks like there hasn't been a change, because, like you said, the bus down here is green and blue. The bus up there is a black, blue, red, all sorts of colors.
Right.
So for the average rider, we haven't changed routes yet. So for the most part, it looks like nothing's changed.
Right.
But very soon you'll start to see a new name, a new brand. So there'll be one unified branding for all the buses, a new name coming out soon, which will be exciting. And so I think riders will start to see the benefits as well as the image of the new system, combined system, coming out soon.
Exactly.
So that'll be really exciting.
And obviously for Middletown area, for Middletown, do you just cover Middletown, or do you cover the whole area?
Yeah, the whole northern area and the southern area. So one thing that's always a balance when you're working with a smaller to medium-sized transit district is you only have so much funding to put so many buses on the road. So what we like to do is, there's different schools of thought on this. So some people will say you should just focus on a few routes.
Yep.
Really have great frequency there, which means maybe have routes every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes, but have only a few routes. Because we're sort of a more rural region overall in the county, we like to have a more coverage-based model where we have maybe less frequency, but we go more places, right? So we have a bigger map, so to speak. And so that's shown through our shoreline routes, but also our Middletown routes as well, where we go to Cromwell, Portland, East Hampton. We even connect with Meriden as well.
Oh, okay.
On the shoreline, as you know, we go through all the shoreline towns. We have routes that connect Middletown to Madison and Killingworth, and all the tri-town area, so as well as connections to New Haven and New London. So we try and do our best to have good coverage of the Middlesex County.
And you guys also meet up with the Connecticut Transit bus in Madison.
We absolutely do.
At
We
the
have many
gazebo.
connections with CT Transit. Yep. And that one goes right to New Haven. We have connections. We have Route 55 in Middletown. We'll go from Middletown directly to Hartford, which is a great route.
Really?
Great for commuters. Absolutely. Yep. That's a great route. We have some connections as well. Many other connecting services to go to New Britain as well. So we have lots of connecting services.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow, you guys are very busy.
We are busy. Yeah.
And I'm assuming, because of from the start of the pandemic to where we are now, your ridership numbers
have grown.
Yes. But I'm sure you guys also saw a decrease in ridership, especially during the start of the pandemic when,
So
when people weren't working.
Now, I wasn't there, but from what I've heard,
Right.
and I did some work in transit during the pandemic when I was still in school, and the ridership before the pandemic across most public transit was decreasing.
Right.
But then COVID was just a precipitous drop.
Oh, yeah.
As to be expected, you don't want to be in a close and confined space when there's a pandemic running rampant.
No.
Not the best place you'd want to be, right?
No.
Not your first choice. And so, understandably.
Yeah.
But as sort of once the vaccines came out, and it seemed that as a society we've sort of relaxed a little bit, it seems to have come back, and for the most part it's been okay, which we were excited about. We've seen great ridership numbers. And one thing I'll say too is there has been a difference in the rebound for commuter rail versus bus fare. We've seen that the commuter rail hasn't rebounded as fast as transit has, as the bus has, whereas public bus is basically back to normal. If not, we're actually now exceeding 2019, so we're above pre-pandemic numbers right now.
Really?
Yeah, we're above, a little bit above, which is awesome. So, whereas the trains haven't quite caught up yet.
No.
That number. So it's interesting. But
Absolutely. So where are we going from here?
Where are we going from here? Well, what I'm really excited about is beyond just the fare changes I briefly talked about. We have a lot of the new big thing I'll be focusing on coming up in the next couple of months is a series of route changes. So as part of the new system, and as part of a transit study that was done before I came here in 2019 and 2020, we had some consultants take an outside look, sort of a bird's eye view of our system, and an outside look to kind of see what we were doing right, what we were doing wrong. And so luckily, a lot of the routes that we have are overall pretty good. We're making some tweaks and changes to them to make them more efficient. Especially in Middletown right now, we have lots of routes that have long loops and go in areas we don't get a lot of ridership. And so for the average rider, it's a lot of sitting and waiting to go to one place.
Right.
A good example is our 583 route, which serves the Washington Street shops, the Price Chopper, the Big Lots. Are you familiar with that area of Middletown?
Absolutely.
And so for a lot of people, let's say I'm a Wesleyan student and I want to get to the Big Lots, right, for groceries. Let's say that's the case, or whatever it is. I have to wait about 20, 30 minutes in a big long loop before I actually get to Washington. It's at the end of the route. And so it's not convenient for me. I'm not going to do that, right? And in that big loop, why we went in that loop is, we'll get some more people to come on, but we realized that we get very little ridership from that big loop.
Right.
So it makes more sense to run a bit of a tighter loop, so that way, someone can actually get to where they want to go faster. We're kind of more destination focused.
Okay.
Now that being said, we're still collecting public feedback on this. So what I'm going to be doing, for the next couple months here is going to be going out, collecting public feedback on these route changes. Now, we've already done one round of it, and overall it was very positive. People like our changes because they're pretty minor, but they're going to make a big difference, we think.
Right.
It'll help with on-time performance. It'll help you get to where you want to go faster. So I'll be going out, I'll be doing the tables, I'll be doing bus rides collecting feedback, I'll be at the terminal collecting feedback, I'll be at the Old Saybrook train station, I'll be everywhere all around Middlesex County collecting feedback to make sure that riders specifically are happy with the changes. Or if they aren't, we'll make sure we can try and accommodate their suggestions as well into the final design.
Right.
So nothing is final. We have an idea of what we want, but what people want to hear their feedback so we can make some between changes and tweaks.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And as far as down here on the shoreline,
Yes.
yes, if you're trying to catch the bus in Old Saybrook, you guys have a very nice bus shelter
Yes.
across from the train station.
That's right, we do, and that's going to actually become even more important, even more nice. We think, even more nice because
Really?
yeah, we're actually. So one thing we're adding right now, it's sort of a small thing, but I think important thing is we're adding these really cool e-ink signs. They're like almost like a tablet that we're going to install on the bus shelter itself. And what it will show is it'll show real-time information of when buses are coming in. So if you don't have an app or you don't have something, so you can see, okay, the 641 is going to be here in 10 minutes, so I know I can wait. And it's real time, so it's not just a schedule. So if the bus is running late, you'll see it's running late. So you're not going to think, oh, it didn't come, I have to leave. You'll see it real time. And so I think that'll be
the app.
Exactly.
Sort of like the
kind of like the Ecolane, exactly. So we're working with a company called Passio to get that going, and it'll be we're excited about that. And I'll say a little bit more about the Old Saybrook train station. That's going to be kind of one of our hub areas. As you may know, the downtown Middletown is sort of our hub for Middletown. It's where all the buses start and end in. It won't be exactly that, but we're looking to have the Old Saybrook train station set be a bit more of a hub in the shoreline. It kind of already is.
Yeah.
A lot of routes intersect. But we're going to maybe even looking at adding a new route, a 640 route in Old Saybrook that would kind of help connect the entire region and make it easy for everything to run on the hour. So we're working through that right now. There's many challenges to that, but we want to be a little more of an hourly clock face and a little more consistent throughout the day, because it's easier to transfer on the Old Saybrook. Instead of having to wait 20 minutes for the next bus, hopefully it's a 5-minute wait or a 10-minute wait. So we're looking to try and make sure that it's an efficient experience for people and people aren't waiting 30 minutes for the next bus, right? We want to try and avoid that whenever we can. It's not always possible, but what we're trying. So
exactly.
Yeah.
You guys are a very busy organization.
Yes, we've got a lot going on, and so it's been a lot of fun, and they keep me busy, but that's a good thing. I want to be busy, and there's a lot of good stuff going on. So excited
Obviously,
to be part of it.
have you gotten down to the shoreline and ridden the shoreline route?
Yes, I've ridden a few. I have a few more to go, but I'll say I've ridden every single bus by the end of this
year?
The route study. Yeah, once they do this route study, so as part of that, I'll be on each individual bus, showing them the route changes on the bus and saying, hey, you ride this bus every day, or you ride this bus. Is this a good route to you? So I want to see and hear back from them. So I'll be on all the buses getting that feedback.
Cool.
So.
Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to.
We'll be right back.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
You matter.
You matter.
You matter.
And your words matter too.
Your words matter.
What you say in the hallways at school or in the student section at a game matters.
Words can be hurtful.
Words can be offensive.
Words can leave scars.
Words can also inspire.
Support.
And uplift.
You and your words.
Are they both important?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Brendan from Estuary Transit. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we got exciting news to tell people about regarding, I know we talked about the Ecolane app briefly.
Yep.
Maybe we can tell us
a little bit more about that. Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So one thing that's pretty cool too is with you might have heard of the Extra Mile service before. It's a pretty great service. It's an on-demand service. We have one in a zone in Old Saybrook. So basically, how it works is it's kind of like an Uber or a Lyft. We call it like public transit Uber or Lyft.
Yep.
It's called microtransit, where let's say I'm at the Old Saybrook train station. I want to go to the Stop and Shop in Old Saybrook. What I can do is through an app or through calling,
Right.
you can request a ride and a driver will come there as soon as they can.
Right.
So if they're right next to you, it could be 5 minutes, or if they're a little farther away, it might be 10 minutes. But it's a pretty great service, and right now it's free in Old Saybrook. And we also have a zone in Middletown that we've started as a sort of a pilot project. Now the zone in Old Saybrook's been around for a couple of years. People like it a lot, so it's part of our normal services. In Middletown, we're just trying it out, and we're seeing a lot of great numbers as well. And I'll touch on the app too, because the app's been pretty nice, because it's a great way where you can request the ride right there on the app. You don't have to call somebody, you can just do it right away. You can still call in Old Saybrook if you like, if you don't have a smartphone. We want to make sure it's accessible to everybody. But I'll touch a little bit about the extra mile zone in Middletown. It's very similar to the one in Old Saybrook.
Okay.
The only difference, it's a smaller zone because, as you know, Middletown's very dense, densely populated compared to the shoreline.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, it targets the Washington Street shops, as I was mentioning earlier.
Yep.
The Wesleyan campus, as well as the downtown area, and a little bit of North Main Street as well. So it kind of gives you a good, the heart of Middletown, so to speak. And so you can request a ride, just like on an Uber or Lyft. It'll pick you up into 17 or 18 different stops around the area. So if you want to go to the CVS or the Aldi, you can get a ride right there, there and back. And so it's been very popular. We did sort of a trial run in Middletown for about 3 months. And we saw over 4,000 riders use it, which we're really excited about. Wow. In just 3 months, a brand new service coming out of the blue. So we like that. We like those numbers. And we're looking right now to secure state funding to have it be a more permanent aspect of our services going forward. So we're hopeful that we can get funding, fingers crossed, to continue it in the future.
From the state, from
yes.
DOT?
But I'll say too, the Old Saybrook is confirmed. The Old Saybrook extra mile is already part of our services. The Middletown one, we're hoping for funding.
Oh, nice.
So like Old Saybrook's kind of safe. It's safe. What we're waiting for now is to see if we can get funding to continue in Middletown. So.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I saw something online not long ago that you guys were talking about a fare increase?
So no fare increase, fare exchange. The only increase I'll say is that the extra mile right now is free. Yep. As sort of a test pilot. In Old Saybrook, we'll be charging a $1.75 fare, most likely. That was one of the things we looked up during the public feedback was, is that a reasonable fare? And I'll say, if you've ever looked at an Uber or a Lyft fare, I think you'll say that $1.75 isn't too bad if you've ever had to take an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi.
Yeah, right.
And so it's just a way to make sure we're collecting some money back. It also helps us allow to get some state funding as well if we're charging a fare. Sometimes if we don't charge a fare, it gets a little dicey. So because they want to make sure that there's some funding coming in on our end as well. So that'll be exciting. It's a minor increase, right? Coming from a freight pilot, but the base fare though isn't changing. So the base fare is $1.75. That's not changing. We actually added a 50%. We're going to be adding a 50% student and low income discount.
Yeah,
we want to make sure that affordability is really important to me, and I'm happy that affordability is very important to Joe and everybody else and staff and the board as well, because we know that for a lot of people, $1.75 can be a lot, especially if you're using it every single day, multiple times a trip, multiple times a day. Our monthly pass is also not cheap as well for some people, and so we want to make sure that riding transit isn't a financial barrier, because we're often serving people who don't have access to cars and they're trying to get to their jobs, and so we want to make sure that we're not holding people up by the fare. So we think that the 50% reduction will take the sting out of it for people who are in most need. We hope so. And with the student discount, we hope that we'll be encouraging students to use transit more, kind of encourage the next generation of public transit users. So that's what we're hoping for. So. And
how does the student program work?
Yeah, so we're still ironing out the details, but basically how we think it would work is there'd be through a high school or middle school, you have student IDs. You could just show that ID and then you get the half off fare. Okay. I'll say too, with the low income discount, we want to be very respectful, and so we are not going to be the ones making the determination for low income status. Nope. We'll be working with other state partners. Maybe it'll be through a SNAP card. There'll be some form of identification that won't be like a low income card. We don't want to be disrespectful, so it's going to be discreet and private, because we want to make sure that people are getting the discount, but we don't want to be we want to restrict people's privacy, and we want to do it the right way. So
you don't want to irritate people.
Exactly. No, exactly. We want to
or make them feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
That would not be cool.
Exactly. That's not what we're in the business of doing.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yep. So what other exciting stuff do we want to tell people about the transit district?
Yeah, so I think it's a really exciting time to try transit as well, because it is free. So I'd say if you're kind of thinking about, I typically drive a car everywhere and I don't want to I don't want to start. I'd say now's the best time to try it.
Yeah.
I'll say too, we have a lot. So we have Dial-A-Ride. I'll talk a little bit about. We haven't touched much about that. And Dial-A-Ride we have in most of our service area, in 15 towns. And Dial-A-Ride's a great service because you can request a ride, and a shuttle will come to your door, pick you up, and drop you up where you want to go, anywhere in the Dial-A-Ride zone.
Yep.
The only thing is, it is first come, first serve. So if you can reserve it in a day or two in advance, it's best, because that way we know we can serve you. But so we like to do reservations at least 24 hours in advance. But let's say your car goes down, right? And you don't use transit. Like you don't typically use the bus. But let's say your car breaks down. You need to get somewhere. You need to get to the mechanics or whatever.
Right.
Or you need to go grocery shopping. If you call a Dial-A-Ride in advance, we can pick you up and drop you off.
Right.
Or if you have a medical appointment you want to go to and you can't drive back because maybe you've had anesthesia or something, we can pick you up and drop you off. So I'd say, don't think because, hey, I have a car that you can never use transit. You can still use transit.
Right.
And it might not be every day, but maybe it's once a month, twice a month, right? But there might be times where it's useful. And I'll say too, one thing we had last year, and hopefully we'll bring it back. This is sort of a plug to hopefully it'll keep going. I'm not sure the stats are this year, but the last couple of years we've had a bus that'll go from, in the summer when it's nice out, it'll go from Middletown directly to Hammonasset Beach. It's sort of like a one-way trip to Hammonasset, and so as part of our initiative and the state's initiative to encourage public transit users to go to recreational areas in the summer, and so we're hopeful that something like that will continue in the future as well, to get people out and about in nature. So
absolutely,
absolutely, it's always good. So,
and I'm going to jump on my soapbox for about 30 seconds.
Jump on it.
With Dial-A-Ride.
Okay, let me hear it.
Yes, it's easy.
Yes.
I do it every day. Twice a day.
There you go.
Once in the morning, pick me up at the end of my driveway. Going home at night, take me home.
There you go.
Or if I'm coming here to do the Pete Mezzetti show,
right,
I will book extra mile from my office to drop me off here.
There you go.
It is easy.
Hear that, folks? I'm telling you. I didn't tell him to say that either. That's his experience. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely. No,
absolutely.
It's easy, and it's especially easy on the app because, like you said, 24 hours in advance if you need to book. I usually book, and you're going to say, oh my God, I usually book my trips when I need them.
Yeah.
At least 2 weeks in advance.
Hey, if you can plan ahead like that, I respect it.
And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you got to wait to like the day before because it only books 2 weeks on Ecolane. It only books 2 weeks. You can only book like 2 weeks out.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
But it's easy.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's absolutely easy.
We try and make it as easy as possible, right? And we know that sometimes we're going to arrive 5-10 minutes late. We know that. And one thing I would say too is whenever you're doing an on-demand service, right, like the Dial-A-Ride or the Extra Mile, I'd recommend folks to always bake in 10 to 15 minutes. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a doctor's appointment at 3 o'clock. I would recommend trying to get there for 2:45, so that if there's a 5-minute delay, you're fine, right? Sometimes things happen. We try our best, and I'll let you know that we have a limited number of drivers, so they're often going all up and down Middlesex County doing their best they can.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to give a shout out now to the drivers as well because they do so much work and they're so good and so friendly, I think. And of course we get complaints sometimes, but overall they are so good and so friendly, and we hear more good than bad. I can tell you that for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And they work so hard for us, and they're awesome. They make it all happen. So seriously, so I want to give them a shout out and say hi to them, be nice to them because they're people too. And
absolutely.
And they like I can both their bad days and good days, but I would just say engage with them. They're friendly, or if you have a question about where a stop is, or they're happy to help.
Ask.
I mean, exactly.
Just
please. We had some incidents recently of people being sort of nasty to drivers and harassing them, or even had physical altercations before. And so please don't do that. It's not going to be good for you. And they work very hard. And so I hope that even if they're late, please just be respectful because they're trying their best.
Right.
And because there are things that happen. So.
Oh, absolutely. And the drivers, especially on Dial-A-Ride down here, are always super friendly, super nice in the morning and the afternoon because I know you guys have very limited drivers, so it's for me, it's a guessing game. Right. There was one day a couple weeks ago that I didn't see the same driver twice. Right. Each morning it was a different driver in the morning. each morning, each afternoon, it was a different driver.
Right, exactly. It's all based on who's closest to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you might get a different driver, but again, and there's many other people who are behind the scenes. We got supervisors who do a lot of work, and mechanics keep the buses on the road through incredible bus shortages right now and part shortages. So everybody, it's a big team effort here, and I like that. It's a lot of camaraderie, so it's great.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The funniest was a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Like I said, you never know who's going to pick you up.
That's right.
A couple weeks ago, I had my morning pickup was Billy.
Okay. Yep.
My afternoon pickup going home was Billy.
You never know.
I saw her
right, exactly.
the same tablet. I looked at her in the afternoon. I'm like, is it time to go home or is it time to go to work? She was like, what do you mean? I'm like, you picked me up this morning.
Exactly.
She's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been driving around all day.
They work long shifts and they work hard. So
absolutely,
it's always good to give the tip of the cap and
absolutely. And everybody on the driver's side.
Yes.
Even your dispatchers are friendly.
That's what I'm saying.
When you call,
that's what exactly.
When you call and have a question,
right?
It's like
it's not a problem. They're happy to
no,
help.
I actually called and talked to Julio.
Okay. Yep.
Not long ago.
Yep.
And he says to me, he's like, "There's something wrong." I'm like, "What do you mean? Is there something wrong?" He's like, "You never call with a question. You always book everything on the app."
Right. Yeah.
She was like, hey, before we say goodnight, website, where are they going?
So you're going to Estuary Transit District. And so that's the new name for the combined system. So the Ninetown Transit, Middletown Transit, we're all one happy system under estuarytransit.com. .org. And one thing I'll say too is that we'll have a new name coming out soon.
Yeah.
And so that'll also link you. I'll say Estuary will also work, but so will the new name coming out soon. And with the new branding and all that. So be on the lookout. So if you see a bus that you normally take or you want to take and it's a different branding, it's okay. It's still us. It's a new brand, new paint job, but it's still us. And we hope to have the same sort of, I think we pride ourselves on being fast, efficient, but also really nice, like you said, and being friendly. And so we want to keep up that same friendly nature, even though we're kind of being one big system. We want to still be that same friendly small town transit system. So
cool.
At heart. So
excellent. Brandon from
Thank you very much.
Returns. Thanks for the time. We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, Pete.
You got it. Thanks. On behalf of Brandon, we'll see you next week.